Welcome back to SoulShift, the podcast where we explore the messy, beautiful, and transformative journey of coming home to ourselves. I'm Christine Morgenstern Shin, and with my co-host, Mindy Gorman-Plutzer, and I'm so honored to have all of you here today. Our guest is someone whose work truly embodies what it means to return to our essence through the power of sound and self-remembrance. Amandine Le Roux Hancock is a sound healer, a meditation teacher, and a spiritual guide, helping women release stress, reconnect with their voice, and awaken their inner power. As the founder of Harmonic Odyssey, she's guided over 10,000 students with transformative sound healing experiences. She's been featured in Under 30 CEO, MSN.com, and LA Weekly, and hosts her own beautiful podcast, Soundscapes and Mindful Meditations. But what I love most about Amandine's work is how she bridges ancient wisdom with modern nervous system science, creating these profound spaces of healing and remembrance.
Welcome to SoulShift, where modern science, ancient wisdom, and real life align.
SoulShift offers a peaceful pause in your week, a gentle reminder that meaningful change doesn't have to be overwhelming.
Together, we'll discover practical tools, we'll share authentic conversations, and honor the beautiful complexity of being human.
This is your invitation to breathe, to reflect, and to trust the process.
Thank you for being here. Let's shift
Gently.
Together.
Amandine, welcome to SoulShift. I'm so grateful you're here.
Thank you so much for having me. It is a pleasure to be on your amazing podcast. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I'd love we're speaking about sound and voice, and I feel like it's appropriate, if you're game, to start with your story and what role your voice has played in your personal healing journey. And if you're open to it, how did that lead you to help other women be able to speak their truth and heal through their voice as well?
That's a really good question. I think that I can speak for a lot of women when I said that we are born, all of us, into a world where we're always told to be silent, not to make any wave, not to, shine too bright. And I fully fell into that when I was younger. If I was being told oh, you're dreaming too big, you will never get to there, I would just listen and swallow my sadness of not feeling allowed to pursue my dreams and just try to find something else to do. And realizing that slowly but surely I was digging a hole for myself. And ultimately, like a lot of women, I was not feeling fully happy with my life. I just felt like I was a passive spectator rather than an engaged actress in my life, until, you start to meet the wrong people because you're starting to vibrate and release an energy that is, lower than what you can achieve. So I was starting to bring those lower vibrating people that were helping me go even deeper in the hole that I was digging for myself. And I reached really deep lows to a point that I was wondering, really? Really? I mean, are we that bad of a human being that this is how low we accept to be, allowing to have a partner that will treat you poorly, verbally, physically, and we accept it as it is the law of the land. And eventually, through difficult time, it's beautiful how the worst slap that life can give you are almost the most founding stepping stone to greatness. And I was fortunate that I got slapped a few times by life. And every time it forced me to get back on my feet, basically. And every time I get back on my feet, I realized, wait, what I just endured was not right. And at first I was blaming all the things, I was blaming the bad partners. I was blaming, the bad teachers. I was always blaming somebody else until I started to find tools that were helping me, like meditation, like music, to reconnect with certain part of myself. And I was like, dude, I'm sorry, but you're worth more than this. And every time I was able to realize that, something in my life was coming to say, yes, maybe you're better than this, and offering me new paths for me to rediscover myself. And one of the main block was moving to the US. Dropped everything after my burnout in Paris. And the moment I decided, okay, I'm going to go to the US, it was like the universe was creating this highway for me. All of a sudden, there was people that I had known my entire life that were living right next to where I wanted to go in Portland. I mean, little things where you're like, okay, I don't know what's going on, but I feel like I really have to go that way. And being rewarded every time I was pushing through the fear, going out of my comfort zone. And so from that awful vicious circle that I had built, then all of a sudden I was in a virtuous circle that every time I was showing up for myself, I felt rewarded by a new door opening. Until I ended up in Central Oregon and I started to learn all of the tools. I started to learn meditation. I started to learn yoga, I learned sound healing. And through all of these activities, I started to realize why my voice was so important, why vibrating at a higher energy was so important, and creating that space inside of my head to tune out the noise, to tune out that voice, that is always telling you you're not good enough. I was able to understand it's not me. And I have the final word. And that moment, I started to see the story I had told myself that I was not good enough. All of those things were labels that I was hiding behind. And they were my own prison, my own making. And once you start to understand, knowledge is power. So I was able to push down those walls and see reality for what it was and felt that true empowerment. And once I realized that, I was like, this is it. I need to bring as many women onto that realization that no matter what that voice is telling you, no matter where it comes from, it's just a voice. It's not you and it's not the reality. And no matter how crazy our dreams can be, well, we are allowed to follow them and land in the stars at least.
No, it's profound. With every breakdown comes the breakthrough. And, what you're talking about is so aligned with the work that we do, to recognize the voice that isn't yours, to reject the lies, to reframe the story, and then you can reclaim the voice that you've had all along. I love that. I just love it. And our philosophy here on SoulShift is in total alignment with everything you're saying. But can you help us understand on both a scientific and energetic level why sound healing in particular works so powerfully to regulate our nervous system and help us release those stored emotions that are kept locked?
Right. Yes. And I did not understand for such a long time. Once you finally understand how the world works and how it is structured at the core level, we realize that at a core level, there's nothing but energy. Energy is frequencies. And once you realize that everything, us included, at the core are frequencies, then you start to understand how the work is shaped. Understanding is the first key to reshaping, to restructure.
Yeah.
And so everything is in there. Words are frequencies. So whatever frequency we're inside and we're not intentional, we are the victim of whatever comes in, especially if we have not been equipped to understand, hey, the ego and the voices are a tool that can be very powerful, very useful to keep the internal souls that we are alive in the physical material world. But if you let them take over, they're not supposed to take over. They will try to keep you safe. So they will tell you, no, then let's not do this. This is too big. Oh, this sounds dangerous. But once you understand, like, no, this is a tool. You're a tool. You're going to go back in the back seat. And if you see something, you're allowed to say something. But now we're powerful. We're beautiful. We're going to raise our frequency. We're going to raise our energy to allow it to vibrate like the sun. And we'll just take your inputs. All of a sudden, our world change. The intention that we're setting inside of ourselves reshapes the voice. And we're no longer fighting with ourselves. We're working with ourselves to become a beautiful, powerful team, basically. And the way we're going to react, our thoughts creates our conversation creates our actions create our habits. So everything comes from how we think and what we say. So all of a sudden, by being intentional and working with the full spectrum of who we are, we can be power machines to accomplish anything and no longer the victim of whatever is happening internally.
If someone is able to do that as yourself, they feel free. I mean, I've experienced the before and the after, right? Personally. And so What about the women listening? I mean, there's so many out there, and I'm sure all of us see this in our practice. The women that you described, that you were before, that are just told to be shut down. They don't even know how to begin to speak their authentic truth, right? And they're not really acting who they are, who they truly are. Where do you begin? Like, how do you help someone find their voice after all these years of just constant berating and having been told, don't speak?
And if I could just build on that question, because I had a similar one. You used be equipped. So what if a woman is not equipped? What if she does not have capacity to connect to what she needs to even learn?
I think that first of all, it's important for anybody listening that what we're talking about, for me personally, didn't happen overnight.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So the first thing is we have to start being kind to ourselves. That is the first thing. Acknowledge that the only relationship we have that will last a whole life is with ourselves. Right? So I used to feel like, I would look at my body, you're too fat, you're too this, you're too tall, you're too... And then I started to realize, woman, you're the body that allows me to experience the joy and the pain and the growth. And so we're going to start to say thank you for still being here, still breathing after all the things I put you through. And so that's the first thing is say thank you. Come from a gratitude place. And if you're not even able to get there, just list 3 things you're grateful for that your body allowed you to do this week. And I think that once we step into allowing ourselves to be grateful for ourselves, we've already done something massive. We've reopened that gate to love with ourselves. And I feel like that's such a problem. How are you supposed to receive love from or create love with somebody external if you've not been able to love yourself? So I feel like it has to start with us telling ourselves to be kind, to reopen that gate, and then say, okay, let's put all the things that we've been telling ourselves about who we are, and let's allow ourselves to dream. If you could be anybody, what would you be? And what would you do? And allow our creativity to give us hints. Because that's a thing. We're not listening to ourselves most of the time. We live in a very fast-paced environment, especially, when you're a mom. On top of it, you're going to have the kids, the work, the social. It's easy to hide behind the fact that we don't have time. And so we don't take the time to listen to ourselves. So I think that that's the second thing, starting to really pay attention to what our body is telling us, which is not something that we live in, and continue to take that time, creating rituals every day, even if it lasts 5 minutes, to look at ourselves in the mirror and continue to say, woman, you're more than you always thought you were. And I love you. And we're going to show ourselves that we can do this and build ourselves up a little bit. And then using sound again, in a world where everything is frequency, sound is a frequency, and sound healing is frequencies that are meant to help us heal. So you don't have to do everything by yourself. You go to sound bath, use frequencies that will help you clear the mental fog, that will help you open your heart and speed up a little bit the process of you coming back to yourself. I think that that's how I would say to get started with reconnecting with ourselves so we can reconnect with what we're supposed to do in this world.
So with that being said, do you approach working with your clients from, and I'm going to use the word a Western standpoint of, explaining how the science of sound healing works so they understand? Or do you approach it more from an ancient wisdom standpoint and have it be more of circular learning where they first just listen and experience and embody?
Yes.
And then maybe share after? Because there's 2 schools of thought of which would be more productive. So I was curious of how you approach it.
Honestly, that depends on the person that is in front of me.
Yeah.
And especially as a French person, I grew up in the most atheist country in the world. I know a lot of atheists. And so if I say anything remotely spiritual, I'm going to shut them down. And my goal is to let their soul shine, whether they believe that they have one or not. So there is you meet people where they're at. And if I'm going to use the science first, to get them into the session. And often what happens is at the end, they're like, what happened? And I'm like, you don't need to figure it out.
That's beautiful.
And if people are already very spiritual, or religious, and they need the help, they already understand a little bit, then we're just going to get into it. I don't need to explain much. We can come from that place. And then I will, sprinkle some information about the science to show them how your instincts were right. There is a frequency. And I'm going to use now 548. I'm going to use whatever. I will give them a little more information because I was raised by teachers, and I ultimately think that knowledge is power. So I like to educate, and I even like to give homeworks, actually.
I love it. It's very much complementary to our bioindividuality approach of how we work as well. So that's beautiful.
It really is beautiful. I'm fascinated by your concept of higher self manifesto. So can you share what this is and how creating one for ourselves becomes not just creative practice, but actually a nervous system regulating tool?
Yes, that is something that I actually did myself a few months ago. And I was moved by what was coming through that program. So if it works on you, it's going to work on a lot of people. The concept behind this is to understand, again, that we said before, everything starts from thoughts and words. And so we start from a place of trying to listen and try to write down the things that bring us down and how we feel the voice inside, if they are nice, if they are bringing us down, if they are vicious, whatever, adjective we can put on those voices and the words that come back about who we feel we are. Seeing the story and the labels that we've been taking for ourselves, and acknowledge that we are storytellers, and they are stories that we tell ourselves that are detrimental. And there are stories that we can tell ourselves that are positive and uplifting. And so it's seeing the things that are not serving us, accepting to say, okay, you're not serving me anymore, with love and gratitude, always, kind of Marie Kondo, but with our thoughts and energy.
Mm-hmm.
You're no longer sparking joy. I thank you for your time and for the things that you provided me when I needed it, even if they don't feel comfortable. And we release them. And that's when I also usually in that situation will bring sound healing. We're going to really go deep in a quiet and relaxing state where we can connect truly with our higher self. And then from that state, once we wake up after a 20 or 30 minute of deep state like this, of calm and a reconnection with ourselves, we're going to take a piece of paper. And from that high energy, going to say, okay, what now from this high level, who I am, who do I want to be? And we're going to start to write adjectives. And so what those adjectives do you feel? How do they translate into your future, into your day-to-day moving forward? And we're going to start to write, I can do this. I am that power. And because I am that power, I finally can step on a stage, trying to start my podcast or whatever it is that, the person has been holding. We're slowly but surely peeling away what doesn't serve and allowing through that deep state of relaxation, our higher self to shine and write the new stories that we want to live by.
Yeah. Happily ever after.
Though, I must say for everybody listening, it's not a one-time fix. It's not like we're set for the rest of our life. I really feel like the best metaphor that I found is that we are like instruments. And because of our environment and stress, we get out of tune. And just like an instrument, we need to be retuned once in a while. I've heard recently a student, she was like, oh, I was so good and now I'm less good. And I was like, honey, there's nothing wrong with you. You're a human being. And sometimes life throws, a few things and it's okay. And we need to continuously tweak and continuously grow.
Makes sense. And so it sounds like, as you shared, it's not a one-time, one and done. So do you put a lot of stock into daily rituals or weekly rituals, or how would you recommend for our listeners where can they begin in a simple way?
Honestly, there is no right or wrong way. I used to believe that because I was trained in a very traditional way of doing meditation, I thought I had to have cross-legged and stay for at least 30 minutes to an hour. And when I got pregnant, it was not the easiest pregnancy. I was very big, and sitting in cross-legged position was not a possibility.
Was not happening.
No. And I started to realize, thanks to also my podcast, I was interviewing people and they were like, well, I do my meditation in my hot tub every morning for 10 minutes. And I was like, wait, I never thought you could do a meditation in a hot tub. She's like, why wouldn't? And, it was sometimes that's also why connection are so beautiful, because they help us even on our continued growth. They help us see things from a different perspective. And I continued to explore that. And I realized that, yes, there is no right or wrong way as long as it works for you. So when I started to have the baby and I didn't even have 5 minutes to do my meditation, I started to practice mindfulness when I was brushing my teeth, or when I was cooking, or when I was cleaning the dishes. I kept the connection through mundane actions that I had to do anyway, but by just practicing mindfulness and meditative action as I was doing it. So it doesn't matter. If you're feeling the need to do something, then set that intention and either start to explore online easy ways or feel things that are resonating with you. If sound is something that resonates with you, I have meditation that starts at 5 minutes. I always tell my student, I would rather you meditate 2 minutes in the morning than 0. 2 is better than nothing. So don't think that, I probably should not do anything because that's not much. If you're feeling it, start. And consistency is better than anything else. You're here for yourself. You're not here for performance. That's the number one thing. The way it shapes itself and how you're coming home to yourself is really personal. And I'm a terrible salesperson when it comes to my own practice, because yes, if sound is not your thing, traditional meditation, at some point I was so full of anger when I was working on climate action that I came home one day with a set of box glove and I handed, the things to my husband. I was like, I need to punch for the next 10 minutes and deep breathe. That's the beauty of the human being. We have so many outlets to reconnect with ourselves, to release what doesn't serve us. So I would say, listen to your heart and follow that.
Love that. I love that. A question for you about therapy with sound. When you are working with a client, a student, as you referred to her, you choose the sound appropriately for what she needs, where she's starting from?
Yes, actually because sometimes, especially on one-on-one, I feel like men just need as much as women sometimes, help. So my door on one-on-one is open to everyone. So the funny thing is that the more I've been attuned to the universe and myself, the more I feel. I cannot tell you what I just feel before the person arrives. I have a feeling the problem is going to be this or that related. And I already have a set of a few tuning forks that are related to those issues. And once the person arrives, they're going to start to explain to me why they're here for, what's their number one issue. 98% of the time, the tuning forks that I've written down remain the same. It's what I had in store for them. But yes, I always try, if somebody comes and I feel that this is where everything is happening, I'm going to use higher frequencies that help to clear the mind. Last time I had somebody who broke 14 bones. So I worked the first session with very low frequencies that are designed to help regenerating the bones and the muscles. And only after the second time, we started to work more on the heart, because I was like, we need to work on your base. So yes, I always try to work on the person based on what's happening. I love to work with chakras. So that's also usually where I start. Honestly, I start with Reiki and scanning the energy field of the person, and it will validate what I had in mind or not. And then from there, we go deep in each chakras. And if I feel that there is more inside of that chakra area that needs to be worked, then we go into deeper, more specific frequencies with the tuning forks. But that's kind of where, yes, I split into the 7 areas, and then I sub-split if there needs more work on that field, if that makes sense.
It's a great explanation. Thank you.
Has anyone gone to, say, a group sound healing and shared with you later that it was a little reactive? And if so, were you able to potentially work with them one-on-one or share with them how they could titrate in a different way so they could use sound as healing?
Yes, the most amazing person that I worked on. And I love that he didn't say anything before the class. At the end of the class, he said, I am a Vietnam veteran. And I just felt something shifting for the first time.
That's for sure.
And I hold my tears during the live, hit me deeply. So there is definitely things that can be powerful like this. He didn't really need much follow-up after that. I gave him a little bit of guidance as to what to do with it, telling him like, you're just going to drink water and just sit with it. Don't judge it. We have a tendency to always want to put labels on what's going on and try to figure it out. Sometimes it's better to just surf the wave. You don't need to know how curvy it is. You just need to feel it and surf it. And I've had another person who was, yes, completely, she came and something happened, which she was completely panicked about what was going on. Didn't expect that much shift to happen. And it was pressing, obviously, on a lot of trauma. So we got together afterwards and we went very gently. Sometimes I will channel things. When I'm working on the person, I always like to give like sort of a guided meditation, visual meditation because I don't believe that the patient should always be fully passive. I really believe that empowering people is important. So I like to tell them to be semi-active in the healing process when we do a one-on-one. And so I would guide her through. In French, we say dance around the pot. And so that's pretty much what I did. I was bringing her slowly. We danced around it for a little bit until she felt like she was allowed to say, no, this is too much. And then we would stop. And you could feel she was ready to say, this is over for the rest of the day. But actually, as we continued, she realized that no, she just needed to say stop, take a couple of deep breaths, and then come back to it, which was also empowering. Oh, I actually have the strength to continue, but it was always on her term. There was we push as long as she wants to push. Kind of like when you do fitness work, there is only so much you can lift, right? But there is a little more than you thought you could push. And that's basically that silver lining, that soft spot that we're trying to, let's push a little more than what we thought we were capable of doing, but we're not going to go to the point of breaking. And once we were a little outside of the comfort zone and she felt empowered by that, we would stop. I'm like, okay, we made a break free. Digest this. And the next session, we'll go up a chakra and continue. And that's how I helped her. This was really okay. Like, you're not alone. And now we're going to go hand by hand, step by step.
I mean, that's the beauty of you guiding her to just slowly, slowly shift her physiology and help her feel safe in her body without, being triggered or soaking into the past trauma, so it's really beautiful how you're helping navigate people through this.
It's beautiful. Again, I'm notorious among my friends for always using the weirdest metaphor, so bear with me.
Okay.
But last time I did a retreat in the Redwoods and I had created those programs where we were healing with the trees. So really feeling the energy of the tree and it was beautiful. And we were doing intuitive singing as a way to reclaim the voice, but without words, right? Just feeling the energy that we wanted to express out with just a sound and a vowel. And I remember my patient, she could barely have any sound coming out. And all of a sudden, and so it reminded me of all of these movies we see in Hollywood with serial killer who are obsessed with when the light goes away of the body. You know that? Well, I was obsessed with seeing the light coming in, her energy field. She was embodying herself. And all of a sudden she released like a diva. Even I cannot do that kind of stuff. And I was like, woman, I'm going to be a serial light awakener. And it was just the most beautiful thing. It felt like I was seeing somebody getting birthed again in the world. And then she looked at me, she was like, I am quitting my job and I'm doing this and I am doing that. And I was like, yes.
Talk about a manifesto of higher self.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. And yeah, that's the kind of thing you're going to write in your manifesto. Yes, this is how high we just reached. You write it down. Because when you're going to come back down, you'll be like, oh, that's how high I was. And I can go back to that high.
And remember that you reach those heights, that it is possible for you.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Really beautiful.
Isn't it why we're in this work?
Yeah.
To look back on the day and be like, you're now a badass. You're now a badass. You're now a badass. We're creating an hierarchy of beautiful women.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you could leave us with one simple, powerful daily practice or any words of wisdom that is very accessible to our listeners, what would you share so they can start beginning to connect to their true self?
There's two things that I will share with you. And if anybody is interested, I do have a sound, so you don't need to try to find, spend hours trying to find the perfect sound. I had done a live soundscape that is meant to deeply relax the brain and the body. So you can put this as your backdrop for in the morning. For instance, I'm a morning person, but if you're an evening person, that also works. And take a piece of paper or journal and write 5 things that you are grateful for on that sound. You're bringing the energy of gratefulness. You're realizing that there is a lot more that you might think that you're grateful for. You have a reason to count blessings in your life. And you have frequencies that are layering behind you that are going to open your heart and bring you that deep relaxation. That's something that I like to do. My husband actually inspired me to do the gratitude list. And that's such a beautiful way to start the day. You start with your heart open, with relaxation instead of doom scrolling. And gratitude is the first layer that you build your day on. I would say, yes, try that a week. And if it doesn't work for you, well, DM me and let me know.
That's really a wonderful strategy. And I like what you also said earlier about even if you can only meditate for 2 minutes, it's better than none, because so many of us who have been told not to take up too much space think we have to do everything just right.
Yes.
So you're really giving people permission to take those baby steps.
Yes. I mean, there is nothing but the rules that we create in our head. So it's all about hacking our own brain. Say, hey, why do I force myself to believe that I have to stand like a Buddhist monk for, 30 minutes at a time for me to be allowed to meditate? Nobody. We're telling ourselves that. Then it's all about, why am I saying this? There is no rules. I can meditate while I wash the dishes for all I care. If you have a newborn and you're like, even 2 minutes I can't, then do it while you brush your teeth. And you just feel and think about nothing but the contact of the toothbrush on your teeth. I can guarantee you at the end of the 2 minutes that you take to brush your teeth, you're going to be a lot more relaxed than you thinking, oh, I need to bring the kid there. Oh, the potatoes aren't already, you're going to be a lot more relaxed. So yes, there is no rules but the one that we put in our head, especially with that.
Yeah. So you're saying an active meditation is just as effective as a quiet meditation.
That's what I did when my kid was born. And that's what allowed me to continue to keep that connection with my higher self and the universe. I was washing the dishes. I was feeling the coldness of the water and how it felt on my hands and the pressure of the sponge and everything. Nothing else but that was existing. I had accomplished the task that I needed to accomplish, but I was also very relaxed at the end. And I think that that's the whole point of meditation.
Yeah, what I'm relating to is the higher self is very much connected to your deepest sense of self.
Yes.
Right? Higher self does not need necessarily to mean something outside of yourself.
No, I think that's the magic of it. We always have a feel that, we're victims and we need to find something outside of ourselves to help ourselves. And the truth of the matter is that if I am here talking with you on a podcast, anything is possible. I don't think people can understand how, low esteem, I was. Somebody that was terrible in my life, always telling me that I didn't even know how to cook pasta, even though freaking my grandmother is Italian. I was cooking pasta at 9. And I was allowing them, to be like, oh, yes, please cook for us. I mean, I had no hope except getting an okay job. That was my goal, is to get an okay 9 to 5. That's not a very sparkling thing. I was not allowing myself to remember that, hey, no, you're a singer and you need to use your voice. You discovered energy healing when you were 5 and that resonated inside your heart. That was, all of that was out the window. So it's like reclaiming ourselves to like, no, anything is possible. And stone by stone, we're going to rebuild ourselves. And the beauty is that eventually you start to realize the wall continues to build and you're starting to have a perspective on your life like, wait, this is starting to happen? Okay, I was not expecting that anymore. We're past the dreams. And that's also the beauty. And that's why it's important to acknowledge that there is not a one thing that you're going to do and that is going to shoot you for the rest of your life. This continuancy. And so that the universe can continue to build you up.
It's a wonderful way to come to a close. Why don't you tell our audience where they can find you?
Sure. So you can find me on my website, harmonicodyssey.com. And I'm also on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, even Pinterest under Amandine LRH. And I'm sure you put my name because it's a little complicated. If you have any questions, please feel free to DM me.
Thank you so much.
You have a beautiful name, and this conversation, it's truly been a gift. I mean, your work, it's just so soul touching. And just to remind the people out there, like our voice, whether it's us speaking out or hearing the sound coming in, I mean, it's a pathway to our authentic self, to actually finding it or maybe rediscovering it, depending on your situation. You're a beautiful example of how we can do this and then be able to then just live the life we truly are meant to live, And so just remember, our authentic expression matters. And I feel like the world needs all of our unique frequencies. And connecting with you, I think they're going to be at that highest vibration. And so I encourage you to reach out to Amandine and, appreciate you being here and sharing your work. It's just been such a blessing. So until next time, this is SoulShift, and keep shining your light.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye for now. Thank you for sharing this sacred time with us today.
We hope today's conversation offered something meaningful and nurturing for your journey.
Remember, transformation unfolds one gentle shift at a time.
There's no rush, just your own perfect timing.
Until next week, we invite you to carry one small insight with you.
This is not another to-do, but a soft gift to yourself.
If something spoke to you today, we'd love to stay connected, so subscribe to join us weekly.
And if you're watching on YouTube, feel free to leave us a comment below. Your reflections bring depth to this space and help others feel seen.
Remember, you never know what someone is going through, and your comment could shine in someone's heart.
Leaving a review or sharing this episode is another beautiful way to support SoulShift and help others find their way here.
With love from the SoulShift sisters.
Remember, you don't have to walk this path alone.
Until next time, may your journey be gentle
And your heart full.